when you think about a resilient enterprise, what what do you think is one capability that defines what a truly resilient enterprise is?
I think that's a great question. A resilient, we always talk about resilience, and we have seen that resilience that happens, for organizations, especially during the COVID time. We have seen how organizations manage to be resilient. Similarly, on cyber side, we know that being resilient is the game. And today, when there is a geopolitical situation, I think a resilient enterprise is defined by its adaptability and its ability to adapt at speed. Okay, so it's not just about withstanding any disruption, but sensing that change early and making an informed decision. It means realigning your people, process, technology without friction. So that agility combined with some clarity of purpose is what truly sets resilient organizations apart these days.
So I think the key capability is the capability of being able to adapt and pivot to changing circumstances. So in the last 6-7 weeks, us as people have had to do that and change the way that we live day to day. And this equally applies from a technology perspective in an organization. And we saw also during the COVID pandemic that organizations that were able to adapt and change fast were the ones that had less friction when going through those tough times. So the key here is that adaptability and less friction during change.
And then obviously, like typically when disruptions happen, especially if it's if these are like external conditions, these are often like things that we don't have or organizations don't have control of. So when it starts to begin impacting operations, what's the first thing that business leaders and technology leaders need to gain clarity on in terms of ensuring that they regain control of the situation and maintain the momentum as they navigate the disruption?
Yeah. So the first thing probably I will look for is the gap between the autonomous nature of those business units and the organizational latency. Sometimes, the decision-making drag when it comes, that prevent the respective business unit to function appropriately, right? So you need to make sure that the teams have the right authority and the right tools to act. And if there is any organization drag is standing on the way, they will not be able to keep the momentum. So we have to eradicate the coordination tax, which slows the organization from the decision making. Okay, to regain the control, it also starts with the predictive observability, getting a clear view of the entire value stream of their infrastructure, so that they can remove bottlenecks and restore the flow of execution instantly. That's my view. Yeah.
Thank you so
So
much.
the key thing is the predictive observability and the ability to take decision. And there is no drag in decision making.
So, I mean, this is tied back to that ability to pivot and change again. But the key thing here is that when you're a leader inside an organization, is you need to know what is absolutely critical to your business and your operations, and you need to protect that at all costs, so that you can keep the lights on. So, whether that is being able to keep goods moving, by road, air, by sea, and as we've seen, like sea, especially in this region, it's extremely complex now, to get any kind of cargo in and out of the UAE. So it's that ability to be able to change, but also, when times are good, that's the time when you need to think about the different scenarios that could happen in the future that you need to have some preparation for. So whilst, yes, these are like the key areas that I need like to defend so that we can continue to serve our customers and other stakeholders, it's also, how do you actually do it? So, yeah, okay, I need to make sure that I can get goods to my customers, let's say, but how do you actually do that depending on the different external forces? And what we've seen here is that, again, the organizations that, have thought that through beforehand, and particularly some might have reused some crisis management run books from the COVID time again. These are the ones that are able to sort of get through these tough times. But it's vitally important that you know what has to be delivered at all costs, because what you have is then, when times are good, right, we don't tend to sort of segregate the must-haves from the nice-to-haves. And we've seen it ourselves, like we've dropped, for example, projects that in good times would be nice to do, but right now, we need to focus on the core and make sure that we're delivering what we're supposed to our customers, and then everything else comes after that. So really, really good planning. Key thing here is doing very, very strong business impact analysis. And the thing here is that people tend to think that it's a technology issue, right? Business continuity and things like that. It's like, that's IT's job, but it's everybody's job. Whether that's, an office that you can't reach, if you're a finance person and you need to write checks to pay a supplier, if you pay by check, as some of us do locally, what do you do, right? You can't get to the office to get the checkbook. And then how do you get the signatory to sign it? These are things that should be actually captured in a business continuity plan, but would come from a business impact analysis that, okay, how do we pay people? How do we receive money? And these are all the things that tend to get forgotten about. And then just that finger comes to IT that, you're responsible for everything. So it's a collective responsibility amongst all people in an organization to be part of that. And it's something that we try to do quite frequently where I work. It's not the most exciting thing to do. It's boring, obviously, and no one likes to think about doom and gloom. But again, if you fail to prepare, then prepare to fail. I mean, there's a reason why everyone quotes that phrase, because it's true.
And then when such scenario happens, like, what's the first thing that organizations need clarity on? Like, how should they reprioritize their systems, their teams, especially as you have mentioned, they have to rethink their strategies during such scenarios.
Exactly. When it comes to strategy, this is something a disturbance happen, so they need to act fast. And the best approach is to create a war room and create an agile plan. It's to have the minimal services available, or the most important or must to have services if the organization serving customers. So again, they need to be more agile, and it depends on how agile the organization are. If they are agile in their day-to-day activity and their task and their project, applied an agile way of working, then they will be fast acting and having such minimal viable product available for for their customers, be it an internal customers or an external customers. But if a project or if an organization, they are not into that agile way of working, then they will face a bit of challenges when it comes to that.
Yeah, I think the clarity of purpose always comes from the right kind of approach and planning. I think when you actually have a long-term plan, which was defined for the next 3 years or 5 years, and then suddenly there is a huge shift that's happening due to the market situation or the geopolitical situation which we are all in right now. It's all about pivoting and doing the right thing at the right time. So sometimes we'll have to call off certain things and reprioritize, bring up those changes as required, specifically for the business. And that's what leadership is always all about.
What do enterprise leaders actually need from their technology partners in terms of, helping them or supporting them and ensuring that these needs are met and that they keep or maintain their business's momentum during such scenarios?
Okay. When you say that leaders, organization leaders, what they are expecting from their tech service provider, then I may categorize organization into two.
Mm-hmm.
An organization that they build things in-house, they are self-dependent, they have the capabilities and they build whatever platform services that they provide to customers, or an organization that are vendor dependent and they have dependency on the vendor. But again, it depends on the future foresee of the leaders and how ready they are from a resiliency perspective, where they need to invoke that strategy with their vendor if they are vendor dependent. But if they come at the last minute as a reactive mode and ask their vendor to react, their vendor, they have so many organizations that they need to serve at that critical time, and the reaction will be a bit slow. So leaders, they need to have that future foresee when it comes to resiliency. And recently, what I'm being discussed of a phenomena or organization, they are moving from a mood of fast to have or right on time to have in case. What does that mean? Previously, we were hearing about we need to be agile, we need to be very fast in implementation and integration, and to have the service as fast as possible for our customers. But now the mindset is shifted. And instead of have fast to have, but now we need, or the leaders, they need to think of a platform that would serve without any interruption if any disaster happen within the region or within the organization. And it has that some technical architecture perspective they need to take into consideration when they are building such platform.
So actually there should be a partner. There should not be a vendor who's interested in selling license or selling man-hours or technology itself, right? So they should be the enablers. And during a crisis, a customer don't need just a vendor, They need the architects of trust and partners who can actually provide safe to fail infrastructures, whether It could be a self-driving network, automated governance, or great technology provides guardrails that amplify the leaders in taking their decisions fast, right? So they provide confidence to move faster precisely when the entire organization is slowing down. So you need these partners to understand our organization context. They should not be asking the simple questions, okay, what happened, who are you, what's your process, kind of things, right? So they should be well aware of what's happening in your enterprise context, where are the bottlenecks, what kind of business impacts it can create, so that they are ready to go. So that level of engaged partnership model is what we expect from the service providers. So I don't even use them as service providers, vendors. I would like to call them as the extended arm of our IT function. They work like partners, they understand. So the moment you call them in times of a crisis, they know where to start and what kind of advice they can provide in a trusted manner.